Okay. Well, this is something I've been curious about, and I'm sure that other people want to know this too. Are Ouija boards really as dangerous and evil as they are made out to be? Now, this kind of like spirit board, it was very popular around like the Victorian times, I think it was. People had there was like sort of an uptick in interest in the psychic and in the supernatural and the spiritual realms. And, you know, that's all fine and dandy. I think that we should be allowed to pursue opening up our psychic skills and stuff like that, because it's something everybody can do. And finding different ways to connect with spirit that works for you. And you would think that Ouija boards would be sort of in that same category as tarot cards and whatever other forms of divination that people use. Okay, but we see a lot in pop culture, things like, I think there was like a movie that's called Ouija, and I watched it a while ago, and it's like about these teenagers that like find a Ouija board in this old house or something like that, and they play with it, and they die, and there's a demon in the basement connected to this board, and it's like causing all of these young people who play with the board to die. And if you even just go on YouTube and search up scary Ouija board stories or Ouija board videos, you'll be entertained for a solid few hours. I mean, you might be a little creeped out, but you'll be entertained nonetheless, right? And that might just be part of why it's such like a fixture in pop culture, where, you know, you touch this piece of wood that has alphabets and numbers and shit on it, and your life is wrecked. I just want to see how much truth there is to that. And maybe just the truth about the Ouija board itself, and how it was intended to be used, as opposed to maybe how people use it today, or how, you know, it's intended to be perceived, maybe, as opposed to how people see it today. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask questions and pull cards. I don't know if I want to do a real actual spread on this, but so I think my first question is, how evil is this really? Like, how wrong and bad is it really? There are some religious people who suggest that touching a Ouija board and using it is a mortal and unforgivable sin. And that's a pretty lofty and scary claim to make, right? So, okay, so first of all, is it wrong? How about, I'll ask, is it wrong to use a Ouija board to try and connect with spirit? Is it wrong? What is some information I can get about that? I'm gonna just shuffle and pull a few, okay? I got 3 major arcana that just popped out answer this question. Okay. There's a lot to unpack here. Wow, wow, wow. You want to know something that's really freaking interesting about this? I had 13 cards come out. Okay, here, I'll show you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And my 13th card is the death card. And you know what number is on that card? 13. Oh my goodness. And 13 is supposed to be like a spooky number, right? So I'm gonna just kind of sit and listen to spirit on this, hold a couple of my crystals, and you know what? While I'm reading on this, I don't really acknowledge that I do this. I don't do this on camera, but I do ask that my guides and my guardian angels and ascended masters of the highest and purest and most loving light, be with me, to protect the viewers, to inform us on this really interesting topic. Okay, so we have our protection now, so we're safe. We've always been safe. It's totally okay. Okay. So first of all, we have the Chariot. These cards, they have a few different meanings. They're all very symbolic, right? And one of the things about this card is that it represents literally a vehicle. So the Ouija board, in a sense, is like a vehicle for which, like, that spirit can use as a means of talking to us. Okay? Ooh. Now, we have Judgment, and there's maybe a couple of things here. Sure, this particular, spirit board, this form of divination, over the years it has received a lot of judgment. It's being judged as evil and wrong and do not touch and one-way ticket to hell, right? But it's also something that, if you're going to use it, absolutely use your best judgment. You need to have, you just got to call on spiritual protection and guidance and wisdom, like you would do, like we just did here before I started looking at these cards. And, if you're getting answers from the board, just use your discretion. Like, I wonder, who is this coming from? Why are they telling me this? And what are they telling me? Use your discretion. Like, I can accept this information, or I can reject this information. You don't have to believe every single thing that it might be telling you, and it's also the way that you intend to use the board. The spiritual realm knows a lot of stuff that we on earth do not know and we don't understand, or we simply don't remember because we're spiritual beings having human experience, and maybe part of the experience is just not remembering certain bits of information. So you got to use your best discretion, especially, there are people who talk about how they had such an evil and scary experience, or they asked, when such and such person was going to die, and it gave them a date and it actually happened and stuff like that. There are some questions that you don't want to know the answer to. And it's not that a certain outcome happened simply because you used a Ouija board and asked it this question. It's not something that you caused. It's just information that spirit had, because whatever was going to happen anyways. And it took that opportunity to tell you and answer your question. Okay? So it's like with tarot cards or with psychic mediumship or with really any form of divination, you have to be mindful of who you're asking, what you're asking. It's helpful, if you're using a board, to say, who am I talking to? Are you here for my highest and best good? Are you a being of love and light? Or some people might ask, Or some people might ask things like, do you come here and do this work in the name of Jesus, in the name of Buddha, Allah, Shiva, whatever deity that it is that you perceive as loving and protecting you? Okay? So it's like, basically, use your head, use your brain. Next, I have Justice. And the feeling I'm getting with this one is that it goes along with minding what you're asking. Because, sometimes if you're connected to a spirit that is maybe not helpful, because, there are some spirits that like to play tricks on people, that get a real kick out of scaring people, that want to mislead and confuse and frighten people who are trying to connect to the spiritual realm and trying to open up, okay? And they might not tell you completely truthful answers, or they might tell you things that don't make any sense. But this Justice card is saying that for the most part, when you are connected to a being that, you know, is trying to help you, is sincere, they will tell you their truth. Now, okay. The people who have, you know, lived on Earth and died and gone to the other side, sure, they don't know everything. You know, like, you would probably be better off, well, and even angels don't necessarily know everything, but you would be better off asking, or, you know, asking to connect with, or choosing to connect with a being that comes through who is of the highest and purest and most truthful energetic vibration. And you know, some people use Ouija board to, like, to pray and to connect with God / the universe / source, whatever you want to call that. They would have more information than, say, your great uncle who died 2 weeks ago. And it's not to disrespect, you know, people who have lived on Earth and died. It's just that they don't know everything, but the spirit, whatever spirit you are connecting to, most of the time will tell you their truth. They will tell you the truth as they understand it. And this is why we need to use our best judgment when using a board or using a form of divination like this. Next, we got, for some people, it can be a very reliable way to connect with spirit and to just chat. You know, some people get the board out, and I talk about it as if I do it all the time. I do not. But I was interested and thought I would read on it anyways. There are some people that they do this all the time, and they use it as a form of prayer or as a form of chatting back and forth with God, or back and forth with angels, or back and forth with their deceased loved one. And to them, it can be very reliable. However, it does kind of have a bad reputation. We see in pop culture how, like, you know, the movies, like, there's this big bad Ouija board that these teenagers got playing with, and since they touched it, they all died, you know? Or, like, if you touch this, you will die. That's just what this is representing, that this form of divination has received very negative reputation. And many people abandon the idea of trying to communicate with spirit in any form because they think, well, if that is dangerous, well, then tarot cards must be dangerous. Meditation must be dangerous, right? And that's not necessarily true. We know that those things are not, you know, actually meant to harm us. Okay? This King of Swords, this talks about the truth. Again, we use our best judgment. It's also just verifying this Justice card. That's the feeling I'm getting. I think I got a little bit ahead of myself when explaining the Judgment and the Justice cards, because actually the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords, it's amazing that these two got put together. And they are meant to be read at the same time. So, like I said, the dead maybe don't know everything, but they'll tell you what they do know. They'll tell you the truth that they do know. And with this Queen of Swords, we always just have to mind what we're asking and be sure we know that we're connected with an entity or a being that cares about us and wants to help us, as opposed to somebody who wants to trick us or wants to scare us. And you can tell the difference. Some of this in this reading, I'm going off the cards, and some of it is I'm just going off my intuition, okay? So bear with me here. You can tell the difference. If you feel afraid, if you feel fear, if you feel this, like, sense of doom, then end the session. Say goodbye. Salt and sage your home. Salt and sage the board. Try again, you know, another time. If you feel, you know, if you're not afraid and you feel like you are at peace and maybe, you know, they're validating it. Something that helps too is to ask a question that you know the answer to and like you know is 100% true. If they tell you, like if they validate you, it's like, okay. If they're lying to you, then they're lying to you, and you know to disconnect, end the session, and try again another time. But also with this Queen of Swords is like, they'll tell you what they do know, but sometimes you don't want to know. And that is why you have to be very mindful of what questions you ask. So don't go asking, what date am I going to die? Because Spirit might actually know that, and they might actually tell you. Or don't ask, you know, when is this person gonna die? Or things like that. Because, like I said, they might know the truth might upset you. So, I've said it like 100 times, just be careful what you are asking, and with the right intention as well. Okay. Next, we have the Star and the Fool. Oh, 1 second, you guys. All right. Before that sneeze came on, I had the Star and the Fool. But I think first we're going to look at the Star. So, Spirit, the spiritual realm, our loved ones that are on the other side, our guides and our guardian angels, they always hope that we will connect with them, that we will talk to them. They are always hoping for an opportunity. How to word that? Hoping for an opportunity to talk to us. So like sometimes they talk to us through the tarot cards. Sometimes they'll come to us while we meditate. And, you know, if you choose to pick up a Ouija board or make a homemade one or whatever and use it, they're hoping that you will use it to communicate with them. And that, wow, this is just so interesting. And that you'll use it properly and you'll use it, this form of divination, and like any form, but because we're talking about the Ouija board, that you'll use it with your common sense. And you'll use it in a way that is constructive and positive and can help build your relationship to the spiritual realm. Instead of using it just, you know, to see if you'll get scared or not. Or, you know, using it just, yeah, just with the wrong intentions in mind. Now we kind of go into a bit of a shift here. So yeah, okay, this is the Fool. This is like new beginning. So for some people, this really can kickstart their spiritual awakening. It really could bring about the beginning of their communicating with Spirit. Because you know what? Some people do try these things totally skeptical and not believing, and they something ends up being validated for them, or something just clicks in them that's like, oh my God, like, oh, this is really awesome, or like, oh my gosh, like this is whatever. And so yeah, for some, it can be a really reliable form of divination. It can just bring about, yeah, like one spiritual awakening, etc., things like that. But now the shift, the other side of this Fool card, it'll go with the next 1, 2, 3, 4 that are in this pile. King of Cups has to do with keeping it under control. That's a meaning that card has for me, and I've said that a lot in past readings. Oh, hello, kitty baby. Hi, I'm so glad you joined. Hang on, you guys. I'm just gonna... I know you guys don't necessarily like it when I pause to like move my cat out of the way. The reason for it is that she's just laying literally right on top. Like, look at that. Look at that. Laying right on top of my cards, yo. But anyway, so I was saying that in lots of readings, this King of Cups has referred to keeping things under control. And there are people who, okay, Stevie, where's my Fool card? Are you laying on it? Anyways, referencing that Fool card, there are people who think that, you know, using tarot cards is foolish. Using the Ouija board is foolish. There are people who think that meditation with the purpose of connecting to your guides and guardian angels is foolish. And so there are those who do desire to keep this under control, to keep people thinking that this is bad and wrong so that they won't try it. Okay? Which brings me to these two cards. Now, the Ouija board and these forms of divination have been around for ages. Longer than you and I have been here. Okay, so going along with keeping things under control, we have this Emperor and this Three of Pentacles, this like getting together to, you know, come up with something. And usually this card refers to having some kind of dark intention behind it. The reason now, okay, I really don't want to just be one of those people that jumps in and just goes, oh, it was the church, I blame the church, I blame the religious people. But a lot of times it is, you know, church leaders and elders and people who are part of an organized religion. They get together and they're like, okay, well, you know, we think this is evil and bad, and we need to keep people from doing this. We need to, you know, and I'm getting that a very, very long time ago, very long time ago. There were people who got together and were like, you know, there is something to this. We need to stop people from doing this because, and I actually did pull a couple to verify those two cards because it works. Because it works. Divination works. Tarot cards work. The Ouija board works. Meditation works. It would change everything. It would change everything if people found out that the spiritual realm, for the most part, is just love and joy and light. It is not evil. There are parts of it that are darker, but you're not going to necessarily perceive that if you are on a higher vibrational level. If you are on a very loving, energetic vibration, chances are you're going to just perceive more love and joy when you connect with spirit. It's a long time ago. There was a lot of people who got together and were like, you know what? This, if people can connect to spirit on their own, they're not going to need us to do this for them. So there we have the death. The spreading that, you know, the Ouija board is evil. Don't use it. You'll go to hell. You'll never be forgiven. And that all it brings is death and destruction. When that's not necessarily true. We went over it. You have to use your brain if you want to use a Ouija board. You gotta use your brain. You gotta use your common sense. You know? You don't have to let yourself be influenced by entities that are lower and are scary or are, you know, trying to play a trick on you, or entities that are just honestly stupid. And you have the power to surround yourself with love and light and to call on your angels and guides, because when you do that, those lower entities, they can't stand it. They won't be around. They will skedaddle. I'll go away. Bye-bye. A long time of people being afraid of it. People feeling insecure. Somewhat, this reminds me of like spirit is throwing us a bone. There are many, many ways to connect with spirit, and it's like, spirit, I'm actually just hearing like, you really don't need all of these fancy tools and stuff that you know, you have, that you work with, but we'll still come in and answer your questions and help you anyways. And then, weird, I had this one come up again, but the energy of this card has completely changed. So sometimes, yeah, it does have like a dark intention behind it, but now this time, because I'm talking about spirit connecting with us, they want to get together and work with us and try and help us as much as they can and discuss with us and help teach us. Because sometimes this is like an educational card as well, like getting together with the intent of learning something or teaching something. So, all right. We'll just sum it up. Is the Ouija board good, neutral, evil? The answer immediately came into my mind that it is neutral. It just is how you use it. It can be very fulfilling. And it's not the board itself, it's just that connection to the divine can be very fulfilling. Anything else? Apparently I have forgotten how to shuffle because like half of my deck just tried to fall out. Anything else? Is it, you know, because we talked about, is it good, neutral, bad? I heard you guys tell me that it's neutral. It just depends on how you use it and why you are using it. Definitely why you're using it. There are angels. There are angels that want to connect with us. And, you know, angels are smart. They know many, many different ways to get our attention. They know all these different ways to talk to us. But yeah, it's just saying, tread carefully. Use your best judgment. Use your discretion. Don't be an idiot. And have respect. Have respect for the divination tools that you are using, and have respect for the spirits on the other side that you are trying to talk to. And they will have that respect for you.